I think this is a movie made for like people who grew up with Mario here in the year 2023.
More appropriate to say, I guess.
Is this a good movie? No. Is it a bad movie? Kinda. Is it a
Kind
bad movie where you don't want to see it? Certainly not. Is it a fun movie? Hell yeah. Welcome to the Tairimo Boys podcast. I'm your host Cody. With me in second chair is the man who's only familiar with the pipe wrench and BioShock. It's Jeremy.
that was my favorite weapon.
With me in third chair is the man who will always tell you to follow the mushrooms. It's Ryan.
I'm so high on mushrooms right now.
Mushroom chip.
With the topic of mushrooms at hand and the title of the video, today we're going to be reviewing the old Super Mario Brothers movie, 1993. Was 1993 a good year? I don't know. I was like 4 years old.
It wasn't for Mario or Nintendo in general.
Yeah, let's talk about the actual all-stars of 1993, the Super Mario Brothers movie, the one everyone hates. So, Ryan, what are your first thoughts on the movie?
It's a terrible movie, but I love this movie.
I think cult classic's the technical term.
God,
Yeah.
that's a good way to describe it. I
Sure.
couldn't describe it better myself without that.
So, I went into this movie, like, I remember as a kid, the fucking Goombas scared the shit out of me.
Dude, I had literal nightmares. I'm pretty sure I had nightmares even last night after rewatching. Like, I'm still haunted by that shit. Little PTSD kicked in. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, I don't know who this movie's for. It's got, like, all this, like, I guess it's for kids, but it's got all this scary imagery and, like, BDSM and
And
shit.
adult themes, like very strong adult themes. Like, we'll go into that later. I've got one thing in particular that caught my mind.
The
Or my
dancing
eye, rather.
scene, Jeremy.
Yeah, that one was a little awkward too. It was actually one of the names of the businesses.
So you caught something in the background, okay.
Yes, I definitely caught something in the background.
The reviews from 1993 are garbage. I think this is a movie made for like people who grew up with Mario here in the year 2023.
More appropriate to say, I guess.
Is this a good movie? No. Is it a bad movie? Kinda. Is it a bad movie where you don't want to see it? Certainly not. Is it a fun movie? Hell yeah.
It is fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as a kid. It just terrified the shit out of me.
Yeah, I mean, it terrified the shit out of me. Like, all I remember is the terrifying and the boot jumping from when I was a kid. But
Yeah, the Goombas just fucking haunts my dreams.
you gotta wonder. When I was watching the movie, I had to wonder. It was like, how did the pitch for this movie go? Like, I could imagine, like, someone gets the rights to Mario. They spend a night in a bar with, like, someone explaining Mario to them. Then they come in next day, write the script. Like, oh yeah, there's this guy is like kind of like a turtle and a dinosaur. I don't think a turtle's scary, so let's go with dinosaur. He likes to kidnap the princess, Apple, Plum. I don't remember her name, but there's like another princess, Daisy. Let's go with that. And the two brother plumbers are trying to save them. They're like Italian plumbers, middle-aged men.
Straight out of Brooklyn.
Movie, make sure you know it takes place in Brooklyn.
There's a theme there. I don't know, but did Mario actually ever have a backstory? Like, other than he was just put in this game to save a princess and he was a plumber? Was there ever a backstory?
I don't think so. Me and my friends talked about this the other day. I think that's pretty much all you get.
That was it, right? So it's like, where did this molding happen first? He's like, oh, he's definitely from Brooklyn. Because it's even happened in our new Super Mario movie.
So we got official canon backstory in 2023, as we mentioned in our other review. I just want to say, this movie, it's gross, it's weird, and it's silly.
Not for the faint of heart.
Which is what everyone thinks when they think of Mario.
Right? I was thinking about that too last night. I'm like, to go along with Cody's thoughts, it's like, where did they come up with this script? It is all over the place. Like, they really couldn't decide, do they want a darker theme? Do they want a funny theme? It's just all over the place.
So, so now that I'm done with my little comedy shtick about drinking in the bar, let me tell you a little bit of what I read. So, what I read was some guys wrote a screenplay, presented it to Nintendo. Nintendo was like, hey, this is this is actually decent. We're like, we're gonna give you creative freedom to do whatever you want on the Super Mario Brothers movie. So they didn't end up using that script. Originally, I think I read that the original script had it was like about a road trip or something, and then they would end up in like Koopa World or whatever it was. Eventually, like they brought like two directors in who completely changed everything, and we got what we have today.
A very memorable movie.
Now, supposedly,
Or being forgettable.
So supposedly Miyamoto, who creator Mario, I don't know if he likes the movie, but he interpreted it as like, hey, something along the lines of like Mario doesn't have much of a story. Good job with that.
A for effort.
Yeah. So the two directors, who's the main character's name? Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins.
John
Leguizamo.
He'll constantly say the worst movie ever worked on was the Super Mario Brothers movie, where he was constantly drunk. He was drinking when he was off set, and he was drinking when he was on set.
Well, judging on his performance, that's not surprising.
I thought his performance was pretty good for like the source material. I don't know if source material is the right word, but what he was given.
You know, he didn't have a lot to work with. I will give him that.
You got to wonder if this wasn't a Mario Brothers movie and it was like its own little kind of like its own thing. Like, would this movie have like succeeded?
I was also thinking something like that too. I think people had an expectation of what the Super Mario Brothers movie was going to be, and when they saw it, probably wasn't anything like their beloved childhood video game. I think they probably got a lot of unnecessary flack. Just an opinion.
Good for Bob that he didn't get a sequel, though.
Good for Bob. Boy, they did really set that movie up for a sequel, too.
No, they didn't. I actually I read this. So they wanted to do like a Back to the Future type ending where, the adventure continues type thing. Now, if you want to know what happened, apparently there was a webcomic that the directors worked with someone to show what happens in the sequel.
I'm interested to see it.
I'll send you guys the link later. Maybe if I remember, I'll put it in the description if I can even find it.
Can I read a tiny excerpt from a Bob Hoskins Q&A?
Yes, go ahead.
Please do.
What's the worst job you've done? Super Mario Brothers. What has been your biggest disappointment? Super Mario Brothers. If you could edit your past, what would you change? I wouldn't do Super Mario Brothers.
Poor Bob Hoskins.
It had to be a fucking nightmare on set, just from the way he's describes everything. Even though like whenever just that like I read that quote earlier too, and the thing running through my mind was the scene where they're sliding through the icy vents on a freaking mattress. Looks like they're having the fucking time of their life, but apparently they were in the hell world on set.
Right? Can you imagine how drunk he was for that?
You gotta wonder how they fucking recorded that scene.
I do. I wondered that actually about a few of those scenes.
So let's get into the movie. Just to hit on a few story beats. Opening scene takes place in ancient, like literally ancient, maybe even, is there a word older than ancient? It's prehistoric. Brooklyn. I make sure you know it's called prehistoric Brooklyn. We see all the dinosaurs get wiped out, and they make sure that's canon that we're not dealing with turtles, we're dealing with freaking dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are a huge part of this movie. King Koopa, I'm probably going to freaking call him Bowser at some point in this movie. He's not Bowser, he's King Koopa.
They make that very clear. They do not want him called Bowser.
Apparently he's a freaking T-Rex. The story is that meteor hits, and they got a bunch of the dinosaurs got sent to another freaking dimension. I don't know how that works, but that's what we're going with. And also Yoshi's a freaking tiny little velociraptor.
I did like Yoshi. I'm not going to lie. I liked Yoshi in this movie.
He was my favorite part of the movie. He looked like a cross between one of the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park and one of the dinosaurs from the hit 90s television show Dinosaurs.
Oh my god, yes. That's the best way to describe Yoshi in this movie.
Speaking of Jurassic Park, I think we need to address that elephant in the room. So, into the movie, we see T-Rex, King Koopa for a period of time. Yoshi's a fucking velociraptor. Like, all the Goombas are like these dinosaur-headed people, horrifying.
With tiny freaking heads and huge bodies.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Or make sure that they're hiding their actual human heads under the suit. So you get you thinking. It's like this movie stole from fucking Jurassic Park. So I kept thinking this, and I went and looked it up, and Jurassic Park came out 3 weeks after this movie.
It was an inside job.
So Jurassic Park stole from Super Mario Brothers.
That Steven Spielberg's a hack, man.
In all honesty, probably what happened was the two studios were working together and probably got like concept art and all this other shit from Jurassic Park, and they both worked in sync, and that's why we got matching dinosaurs.
Matching dinosaurs and dinosaur humans.
So after the meteor comes in, crashes, we see Daisy being left on a doorstep. Then we get to like the actual Super Mario Brothers, where I'm just gonna say it. I really liked like the real world stuff in the movie. I think it was like 20 or 30 minutes. That's what it felt like. Let's just hang out in the real world with like the Super Mario Brothers. We get to see them go on dates. We get to see them lose business to like some like Italian mobster plumber. Apparently, plumbing in Brooklyn in 1993 was very competitive.
It's a cutthroat business.
Eventually, we do have to move the plot forward instead of just slice of life for Mario and Luigi, and we meet Spike and Iggy for the first time. Ryan, what'd you think about these characters?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kicking myself that I never realized that they adapted Spike and Iggy from the video games into these awful versions. I never put it together until 2 days ago. They're terrible, but again, I kind of enjoy them.
Jeremy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, they were absolutely awful, but lovable at the same time, and that kept me entertained with them. Yeah, especially when they go through their change.
I want to complain about. So I've got a whole like list of plot holes right here. So plot hole number 1, we'll be talking about the evolution machine. Iggy and Spike, they're supposed to be fucking morons, and they keep fucking things up. They keep on kidnapping innocent like ladies and bringing them to like Koopa World. Like later on in the movie, like Bowser's got like an evolution de-evolution machine. Like why isn't he taking his best men and just evolving them to be smart like right away?
That would make too much sense because he likes to have Goombas. Scary, fucking, ugly Goombas.
Well, I mean, I could understand maybe the Goomba part. Like, hey, these are like the Goombas are like essentially prisoners that they're turning into monster soldiers. So yeah, you probably don't want a dissident that hates your guts. So
good point.
That's
Fair
super
enough.
Smart. So I mean, I can understand the Goombas, but like when you have people like loyal people or Iggy and Spike who are like King Koopa's like cousins. Maybe you should have put them in the evolve to be smarter chamber a lot sooner.
It would make sense, but then they wound up not being loyal anyway.
It still felt like they were stupid. They're just using more advanced words.
Stupid people using big words.
Eventually, they do end up kidnapping the correct Daisy, who's of course Princess Daisy. Like I said earlier, the movie doesn't seem to know who Princess Peach is.
Definitely not.
The main princess everyone knows, so here's the side character not everyone knows.
No Wonderful Peaches song.
You tell me there's not an after credit scene where Dennis Hopper sings a song about her?
Did you see the after credit scene?
No,
I do not remember.
There was an after credit scene. We'll get to that.
I don't remember.
Oh, shit.
You guys didn't sit through the credits.
I thought that was a thing that happened in 2008 after Iron Man.
Yeah, me too. That's why I never pay attention. Well, little did we know it was the Mario Brothers that set up after credit scenes. Marvel just copied.
The after credit scene was just a joke. It was Spike and Iggy made it into the real world, and Nintendo executive was meeting with them, wanting to make a Super Koopa Cousins video game.
Oh man! So it wasn't Sam Jackson. I'd like to talk to you about the Smash Brothers initiative.
I can picture it now.
Yeah, they kidnap Daisy. They end up going into like a dinosaur dig site, which looks suspicious of like just a regular sewer.
I wouldn't trust it.
And jump through the magical wall to get to Koopa World.
Koopa World, such an interesting place. It's like the Mushroom Kingdom Dubai.
So, like I said, this movie's fucking gross. There's freaking slime and fungus all like. It's not even fun fungus. It's like
Oh,
gross slime
disgusting.
fungus. Like I don't know how this world functions. It's like it's a city and people are constantly crashing their bikes into stuff randomly. Not like jokingly smashing into bikes, like seriously smashing their bikes into stuff and getting thrown off rails. The first person they meet's like an old lady trying to freaking mug them.
It'd be a terrifying world.
To be fair, none of that was in the script. Just everybody on the bike was drunk.
It's the only way they could deal with the script.
Yeah. We can't get through this movie either. Give me some whiskey.
We're with you, Bob. I don't know. It almost kind of went for like a steampunk dystopian bar crawl type of city.
I don't know, steampunk. Gross punk, that's what we'll call it.
Gross punk. Do you guys notice any of the business names by any chance?
No.
So it shows one that may or may have not been a strip club. The camera pans by the name of the business, or it was a slogan on a board or something that says, "I was a teenage mammal, triple X."
The fuck? Really?
It's in there. Oh yeah, it's 100% in there. I caught it for a split second. I said, "What the fuck?"
You know,
Is that a furry reference?
there's got to be something for adults too, I guess.
Well, I mean, honestly, the Koopa police need to bust down that thing if they're teenagers.
This is a raid.
Not a panty raid.
No.
Throw them in the cages and then the evolution or de-evolution machine.
I would say that's an entirely different movie, but I'm not so sure at this point.
They end up getting mugged. The MacGuffin of the movie's like that's the trope, right? MacGuffin, like what you're seeking.
Yep.
Yep. So they're seeking like a meteorite fragment, because apparently if King Koopa puts the meteorite fragment back in, it'll merge the worlds, and they'll be able to return to the normal world. So next plot hole. So there's a wall that people can walk through to go back home. Why doesn't he just invade the normal world?
Good point.
Like, why are you
Good
fucking
point.
around with this meteor shit? Like you have a stinky, gross fungus realm.
That is a really good point, because they were able to go back and forth at any time, because Iggy and Spike were able to go kidnap the princesses.
Well, he kidnapped
So why
one
wouldn't they
princess.
just invade it? Well, one princess and a couple Brooklyn hoes.
It's no better hoe.
And a Brooklyn hoe.
Whenever we're seeing King Koopa for the first, hold on, whoa. So, in the gross punk city, there's like all these like election signs, like vote King Koopa. First off, is this place a freaking democracy?
I don't think so. I think that was the dictatorship.
So he's just wasting money just putting up like democracy voting signs, and he's kind of a monarchy dictatorship. I can tell you, like, their problems would probably go away if they voted him out.
Yeah, he de-evolved them with his fancy, handy de-evolve gun.
Apparently, in the movie, they're able to technically advance from de-evolved chairs to de-evolve light guns with scopes on them. I did like
the
that.
weapons in this movie.
They're using freaking light guns as weapons.
The flamethrower launcher, like the little flame ball launcher thing. Everybody has worse aims than a stormtrooper in this movie.
I think it's all about collateral damage.
Burn everything. Fuck it. Burn it all to the ground.
I mean, like, I don't think this was intended, but maybe they were using flamethrowers because of all the fungus around. So they set up pretty early in the movie.
That's logical.
Yeah. So they set up pretty early that, like, King Koopa's like a clean freak with germs and probably spores too. There's freaking fungus everywhere. When he's introduced, he's like dipping his hands like freaking wax. Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part either.
I mean, it's probably fun. I mean, it's definitely fun.
I see you have experience with wax.
Ryan's household had one of those like wax melting pots for aromas whenever I was a kid, and I would play in that thing.
Wax melting. We did?
Yes, you did.
I don't remember that.
History lesson. Little did Cody know it was actually a candle, and he was burning his finger every time he stuck it.
Hey, candles are also fun.
I like this wax.
Some people find them kinky. Speaking of kinky, like the freaking in this gross punk city, like everyone's wearing like freaking like rubber spikes.
I just got the shivers thinking about it again. That's like some parts of the movie that I tried to forget.
like after the brothers arrive, they get freaking arrested, and like the scene that stuck out to me is like whenever they're getting booked, like with the police captain, there's like just a lady in like BDS gear sitting on his desk, like rubbing her like high heel against his back. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Makes you really question the movie at that point. Like, did I make it to the right Super Mario's Brother movie?
Wait, are we reviewing Super Mario's or RoboCop 3?
Well, yeah, they get arrested. Of course, our heroes escape. Oh, we meet Toad, who's in the movie for like 2 minutes,
Very briefly.
and then he's devolved into a Goomba.
Which they make sure to give his harmonica to him so we can distinguish which Goomba is Toad Goomba.
Probably a good idea. They had to reuse that costume. They end up escape. I love the escape scene in this. Where Mario and Luigi were just swinging in chains and hijacking a freaking cop car.
That was a fun scene.
When they're escaping with the cop car, one thing I love is like the guys are like shooting their flamethrowers at them. They're not even shooting like the ranged like shell of it. They're just the car's like 50 feet away, and they're just shooting like the 2 feet of like flame.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
After that, they escape. Brothers end up going to not Koopa Castle, but Koopa office building. Another thing that bothered me is like they had a good plan. It's like, hey, we're plumbers. We're gonna fuck up the heating system in this place because these guys are all reptiles, and if we fuck up the heating system, they're all gonna freeze. So they
Wasn't
do
a bad
that,
idea.
and there was like no fucking consequences of doing this. It's just
None whatsoever, and it's forgot about.
Yeah, it's,
After
yeah.
our slide scene, right?
It's just a broken like the idea is, hey, we're gonna turn the heat off. They're all cold blooded, so they'll freeze. They don't freeze. It's just the Brooklyn hoes complaining that they're cold, and then you get the slide scene. Actually, what I forgot to mention was the nightclub scene. The big lady ends up stealing their meteorite, like right after the old lady tries stealing from them, and we get to see the Mario brothers put on their groove in the nightclub.
It was a fun scene.
It was fun.
It was awkward,
but
it was fun.
Yeah, it was awkward. Like, come on, lady. You can see Mario's trying to steal that damn thing.
Yeah, or feel it. Good lord.
At least she. But yeah, the front desk lady ports them to the police because apparently they use Koopa coins in this world, and they end up escaping with the launcher boots that I remember from my childhood.
Goombas and launcher boots. That's about it.
That's how they work Mario's jumping ability into the movie. You got these freaking super shoes that are only used like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, the very big lady used first. Let's not forget.
Okay, 4 times.
There's got to be a capacity there. You need a lot more thrust to lift that lady.
One thing I liked is, I think we mentioned it in our last podcast, but, Princess Peach, she's a princess. There's no other royalty. Like, why is she a princess? It's established that Princess Daisy, as a king and queen mother...
That's true. A little bit of backstory.
Yeah, so we actually have, like, actual, like, honest-to-God royalty here. Not just, oh, I'm a princess. There's no king and queen.
I'm a stranger who grew up who was promoted to a princess.
Speaking of evolving and devolving, apparently there's a slime setting on the...
It is disgusting.
Yeah.
This trigger warning.
Devolve machine, and they hit the king with the devolve machine. All the gross fungus all over the place is apparently him.
Just slime the shit out of him. That is the most disturbing scene to me, is the king. Anything with the king.
I think that's what they were aiming for, because it's like this like cocoon on the freaking ceiling, like a ball that pops out, like it's his head.
I think, oh god, it was bad.
Slimy. All right, Ryan just texted us something. All kids' favorite Mario character. I'll make sure to add in editing.
Yes, I was going to say, if you can put this in, you're going to see what everybody's favorite Mario character is.
So, office building, we get some wacky shenanigans. So, another thing about this movie, it's got a lot of slapstick tones.
Yeah, it does.
It feels like Three Stooges, and apparently, like, the version of the script that we got, apparently was supposed to be a lot more Albert and Costello-like.
I did enjoy the whole, like, shenanigans. It kept me entertained.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, they didn't go overboard, and...
No, they didn't take it too far, and it wasn't over the top. Like, it just... They put it in at good points in the movie. No Donkey Kong references in this movie.
do you
What a shame.
really want a chimpanzee just wondering, oh, that's DK. He hangs out with Yoshi
I mean,
all the
I'd be
time.
interesting. I'd be interesting after seeing what the Goombas and what Yoshi looked like to see DK. They could have made they could have done a reference where Scapelli was DK.
So I'm gonna mention this later, but Scapelli was completely freaking useless in the movie. Like,
100%.
why is this freaking guy in the movie? I want to say that, but as I'll get to later, there was a lot of stuff. There's like a Snyder cut of this movie, and apparently the rivalry between Mario and Spichelli or whatever his name was is supposed to be a bigger centerpiece of the movie.
Are you going to make us sit through a 4-hour-long version of this movie, too?
Do you want
I
to
don't
sit
know if we
through
could take
a
it.
4-hour-long version of the movie?
Hashtag Snyder Cut. Who directed this movie?
It was like a married couple.
Restore the Mario verse.
If I remember reading right, apparently the Snyder cut. We're just gonna keep calling it fucking Snyder cut because that's the lexicon term for it nowadays. Apparently, there's a Blu-ray extra. There's like a Blu-ray version that has like it's got 40 minutes like extra footage. So, like the stuff covered is Pelly rivalry. Iggy and Spike do a rap song in the club with like lizard prostitutes dancing.
Oh Lord.
And apparently we see more of the de-evolution machine where when the Goombas actually gets turned into slime.
No, thank you. I've seen enough slime. So to the viewers, if you want to see it, feel free. I won't. I've had enough slime.
Go ahead.
I found the directors. Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton. Written by Parker Bennett, Terry Runt, and Ed Solomon. Do you think they ever worked again?
They probably worked again. I mean, did the people who make She-Hulk still working?
I hope not.
You know the answer to that.
Good point.
But back to the plot. Shenanigans ensue in the tower. Eventually, the Mario Brothers escape. We haven't mentioned once King Koopa's side piece.
Oh yeah. What was her name? What is her actual name?
Yeah,
Lena.
Lena is her like name. Her name was like only mentioned like once in the movie. It was like the last scene she was in, if I remember right. She really doesn't do a whole lot in the movie if you think about it. She's just like scheming behind the scenes.
She's very, very jealous and schemes the entire movie.
She ends up merging like the meteorite fragment with the meteor, right, and dies, and that's the end of that. But it's supposed to be like some betrayal thing, but that's kind of what King Koopa wants. So, congratulations.
I guess.
So she merges the dimensions, similar to how Christian wants to merge the dimensions.
Oh, Lord.
And Ryan, what is the first thing that happens when the dimensions merge?
I don't even remember what happens.
Jeremy, what is the first thing that happens when the dimensions diverge?
I blacked out.
So, this movie in 1993, the first thing that goes are the World Trade Centers.
Whew. That's a bad time for me to look away from the screen.
What they don't show you is how Building 7 disappeared completely. And the dancing Goombas that we're watching it.
I gotta say that I absolutely love that about the Goombas, is the dancing scenes.
Yeah, Goombas are very good dancers.
They are. I learned quite a bit from them.
You guys have like no idea what I'm talking about.
Went right over my head.
Apparently, Koopa and Mario get sucked into the real world, get merged into the real world while they're having their final fight. After they set off a Ba-Bomb. It's like the most asinine thing ever. It's like this tiny little wind-up toy. Like, I guess it's supposed to be a joke.
Yeah, that was a gag. That was definitely a gag.
It was a gag.
And everybody is so terrified of it too. Like that made it even more funny.
Are bombs from the game?
Yep. They're an enemy.
Okay.
They're not tiny and wind up though. They're like Mario sized.
I couldn't remember. All I remember was Bullet Bill.
Oh, the bullet bills. Those are what you put in those shoes to make them jump. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, those cartridges are put in the shoes.
Those were the bullet bills?
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't say it, but if you look closely, like whenever Mario and Luigi are throwing those shoes at like the police, they're sticking like bullet bill cartridges in.
Be damned. Good eye. They did put a lot of little things in this movie.
Luigi and Daisy get the meteorite fragment out. Everyone goes back to their dimensions. So maybe the World Trade Center restored. We don't know. Building 7 definitely didn't get restored, even though it wasn't merged.
Nope.
And we get the final boss fight. Ryan, what'd you think about the final fight?
Cheesy as hell. What'd you think?
It was kind of boring. Like, I mean, when you expect a final boss fight, like you want something big instead of
Yeah.
King Koopa standing in like a coal chute and using his flamethrower to try to burn. That was a little fun where Mario was hanging on the side and he was getting shot with a flamethrower, but
It just went on too long.
yeah, it just went on too long.
I mean, it could have happened in 30 seconds. I don't know. It felt like a lot longer.
Eventually, they get the de-evolution gun and shoot him with that. He turns into a T-Rex for like 10 seconds and then just slime.
Yeah, that scared the fuck out of me. I'm still scared of that. This movie terrifies me.
Well, at least he's gone. Won't be coming back. And then suddenly magic happens and the king comes back from his de-evolution. It's like, hey, killing King Koopa made all the de-evolution stop. Except for the Goombas, they're kind of stuck that way. Just the one important.
Got rid of all the slime. Plot slime. I did like how the king came back, how he was so casual with that. But what did he say? He was just like, huh.
Like, it was something along the lines of, oh, I'm glad
Like, it was just super casual.
Yeah, I'm glad I hired them or something. I don't think he
Yeah.
said that, but that would have been a better
Something
freaking
super
line.
casual.
It was casual.
And that's what I enjoyed about that scene.
They go home. We get a cliffhanger, kind of a cliffhanger ending. Like I said earlier, they didn't expect to make a second one. I hope they shot the movie as in semi-order where, like, yeah, we're not going to do another fucking one after this train wreck.
This is going nowhere. Is it any surprise that Nintendo waited another 30 years to give it a shot?
So, I forgot to mention this earlier, but whenever I was doing my first thoughts, like, this could have been a good movie if they would have tightened up this. I think if Nintendo would have kind of given them
Stepped
less
in.
creative control and like had a little bit of oversight, maybe it could have been a way better movie. Tighten the script a little, not make it so gross.
Definitely not so gross. It could have been good. I mean, it's an enjoyable movie.
So, final thoughts. Starting with mine, I'm gonna recommend the audience go see it. Like we've been mentioning, we had a lot of talk about today. This is a freaking. I mean, it's for like grown men who grew up with the series and they want something cheesy to watch. It's not gonna be the best movie you ever witnessed, but you'll definitely enjoy it nowadays. Brian,
Absolutely.
what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I liked it. People should see it, but it is what it is.
Jeremy, final thoughts?
It is a fun train wreck and worth seeing.
Trey?
You'll enjoy the cheesy comedy out of it.
Definitely. So, Jeremy, on a scale of The Godfather to the She-Hulk series, where would you rank it?
Let's see. 3/4 of the way to She-Hulk.
3/4. What about you, Ryan?
I would rank it as one failing Bob Hoskins liver.
Is he still alive?
No, he's dead.
Well,
Yeah, well, after this movie, it killed him.
so we're definitely not going to get a sequel now.
His liver
No.
couldn't keep up.
Nostalgia can't bring this one back.
But we will always remember Bob Hoskins. Bob Hoskins, this one's for you.
Pour one out for him, for the homies. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to Tairimo Boys podcast. Stay tuned for more Tairimo-ness, whatever that means. That's a new noun, verb, or whatever it is that we're going to start using till we forget about it.
Ceremonious.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment, especially if it's flaming us out. We love that. We feed off of it. The YouTube algorithm, other sites we use feeds off that definitely.